welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is this, the Alfa Romeo SZ that shocked the world in 1989 when it first appeared at the Geneva Motor Show. You can imagine the assembled journalists had no idea this was coming, and this design has proved controversial from that moment the covers came off it to today, but everybody has an opinion of what they think about the SZ. Is it the Il Monstro, as it got christened, the monster, or is it so ugly it's actually beautiful? The idea of this car was Alfa Romeo being bought out completely by Fiat in 1986, and they wanted to make a statement car to notify this change in ownership of Alfa Romeo, and they came up with this. And it was, although it's got a Z of Zagato on the side, lots of people think it was done designed by Zagato and built by Zagato. Actually, the design was done in-house at Fiat, Alfa Romeo combined design studios. A little bit of help from Zagato because they knew they were going to build it, but it was constructed at Zagato. It's a crazy looking thing. Can't wait to show you around, so let's go and have a closer look. Almost don't know where to start on this car when you start discussing its design. I suppose the statement was those 6 headlights. It's a look that we actually saw come again on Alfa Romeo with the Brera, is the one I remember, that came, well, that was 2005, I think it was. But it was this sort of stumpy look, this very flat, very aggressive front. When it looks, I think, really modern and clean. And part of its secret, it was actually not made from metal. This is a sort of resin. I want to describe it as glass fibre, but it's not a glass fibre as we know. It's more of a resin, the bodywork. Many people think they're carbon, constructed from carbon. It's not carbon. And when we lift the bonnet, you can feel the weight in it. But the only bit of carbon is actually the rear wing on this car. The rest of these panels are sort of plastic. The roof, actually, the top of the roof is aluminium. But yeah, it's a very distinctive slab-sided shape, very aggressive and very aerodynamic, weirdly. This has a CD factor of under 0.3, which is very efficient actually. But my goodness, it's distinctive and it splits opinions. One very unusual feature is if you look at the windscreen, this A-pillar, this strange curve, it's not straight. You think all cars now are sort of be straight, but no, this has a curve in it here, and it has a double bubble. You can just about see, if you look at the screen profile, it's there, and then it curves the other way there, as well as curving this way. It's a very unusual front screen on it, and that lends to the shape of it. It almost goes higher up than you expect, and into the roof. And also the fact that this area is all done in this sort of dark grey metallic look, that to me makes it look very modern. It's something that Ferrari, you see on the LaFerrari and things like that. They wanted to introduce it on the Enzo, but they couldn't quite do it because they were worried about damage to the paint. But on here, they did it in Alfa in 1989. All of them were red, 1,036 were constructed. What a thing it is. So distinctive. You also got these split rim wheels, 225 15s on the rear, 205 at the front, very distinctive wheel. These wheels are actually a spare set for this owner of this car. It's only 5,000 kilometre old car, this. A real collector owned it. He visited the factory 3 times during its build, and kept the original wheels. They're packs away. They come with the car. The car's going to be for sale with a hairpin company. But I just wanted to show you that. I always think that looks Enzo-like. It's a very similar mirror to the Enzo. And this, if you look from certain angles, this is a bit tricky, this shut line. They're all like this, but if I put my finger in there, you can see it's tight there. It's not tight there at all. So, but you sort of have to stand in a certain position, and then you don't notice it, like here. But wow, what a thing. Right, let's go and have a look under the bonnet, see the engine. Pop the bonnet, and I'll pop the rear as well. Now, this is a shock when you lift the bonnet on an SZ. As I say, most people think they're made of carbon fibre or something, but no, this is ridiculously heavy. It's like lifting a clamshell on a F40 or something like that. And this is a mighty stake. Well, I just put that in there. There we are. You can hear it sort of creaking, but very distinct. But you can feel the thickness of this. It's so odd. It is not done for lightweight, the construction. It's just trying new materials out, I think. But anyway, there's the V6, 3 litre V6. It's an over square design. It likes to rev, as you imagine, from an Alfa Romeo. We saw it in the Alfa 75 and the Alfa 164. There was actually a 4-valve head version in the works, but it wasn't ready in time. So this is a 2-valve version, 210 horsepower at 6,200 revs. I mean, a typical Alfa engine, obviously rear drive. It's what we all loved about Alfa. When it was in the 164, it was transverse, if you remember, and it had those chrome inlet pipes, very dressed. Not so here, but a lovely engine. Right, I'm gonna have to put this down. Done my exercise for the day. So weird. I ought to watch why this is up. This is metal here. This is the steel construction, and then you see that's a unique panel just in a wing there. But the original here is sort of based on a Alfa 75 is steel. So underneath it's steel. It's just these panels that are composite. Right. Let's have a look around the back. And now to show you the extensive boot. That isn't actually a boot. When you open it up, that's all you get. You get a spare wheel there. There's a pump there for darkness. You can't really see. I'm not sure what that is, but it's a bit of that. Don't know what that is. But no, if you're touring and want to pack things away before you go away, you put everything behind the seat, which is this huge area. You think it'll have rear seats in, but no, that is your luggage area on this car. Anyway, what this car is all about is the driving. So let's take it outside now. Yeah, here we are. First surprise when you get in, one, the doors don't open very far. You feel they'll go another click, but they don't. I don't know if it's something to do with the sort of body panels and how they're constructed. They don't open quite so far. And the next thing you want to do, you sort of feel as though you want to put the seat down, but there's no adjustment on the seat. They're actually quite comfortable. They've got real bolsters on these seats. The steering wheel is adjustable. I actually have put it quite low. If I get hold of the adjuster, you can see that goes up and down. I thought it went in and out. It doesn't. It goes up and down. So I have it seeing how it's an Italian car, I do have it sort of low, and I can just sort of see the instruments. But it's quite cramped in here as your first impression. Amazing view out with this crazy windscreen with this sort of double curve. If you start it up, easy dials, 280 km/h speedo, which is quite ambitious. A clock, a normal clock in the middle, rev counter, redlined at 6.5, volts, oil pressure, water temperature, and fuel. And that's it. And then this airiness everywhere, this huge amount of glass, no back seats, but just design, lovely, I think. Says Zagato or Alfa Special or something. I feel as though I'm in a very different car. I'm not in a regular production car. I'm in something a bit special, limited something. Carbon fibre sort of dash as well with the screws, the Allen key flush, nicely done. So yeah, a mini exotic sort of feel. Oh, bit of a stretch there to the belts with the two-doorness. Yeah, I'm old enough to sort of recognise the gear lever and the handbrake from Alfas from the past. And off we go. What a lovely wheel as well, a little Momo wheel. Oh, that's the other thing. Instant throttle response. Touch the throttle, it lights up, you're off. No slack anywhere in the business. Feels everywhere is tight. And it's, you know, it's especially so with this example with sort of 5,000 miles recorded. Right, I'm going to head out the village and you'll join me a little later. Right, first chance to stretch his legs. Yeah, Alfa V6 sound. Yeah. Oh, he gets a bit of a move on. It's quite a pleasant level of performance. Doesn't suddenly go wild. I was looking at old road tests, and it's a 7.3 to 60 miles an hour sort of car. It's 210 horsepower from the 3-litre engine. Maximum torque isn't until I think it's 4,500 RPM. So you have to work it to get the best from it. But that's been the same with all Alfas, really. So yeah, it's with the character of the car. This is a terrible surface here. I was going to say this is pretty refined, this car, but it probably isn't on this surface. You'll probably all say, what's he saying? I can't hear what he's saying. Calm down a minute, and they've just unfortunately put stone chips on this road, so it's a bit noisy. And actually I ought to mention the suspension, because I seem to remember that it had rose joints on it, so I put it over the pit and had a look myself. It hasn't got rose joints, but it's almost solid mounted suspension on this. The front has a bar going in and a minimal amount of rubber on the bush, so it's almost direct, and it gives it a really direct feel. Everything feels tight. And when they were developing this car, the guy who was in charge of the chassis was also the guy who sort of did the touring car version of the Alfa 75, the sort of race division, and the rally division. They were ahead of that. So the suspension on this is nothing crazy, but it's taut, tight, no slack, and made for sort of dynamic and a really nice feel behind the wheel. The one big trick it's got up its sleeve is it's got Coney dampers that have adjustable suspension mounts, and I can press this red button here. I can hear a little pump go in the back. I've got a red light, it's saying it's doing a reset, and it's lifting the whole body. I can have better ground clearance by pressing that button. It's on its way up, takes a little while, pumps away, and yeah, I have better ride height. I have the same suspension. It doesn't harden the suspension, it just lifts the body clear. So if you're on a grotty Italian road that's got lots of potholes, you can lift it up and you won't be hitting its front. As I've got an annoying red light on the dash now, I'm going to press this green one, and that'll lower suspension back to its normal ride height. Yeah, pretty trick stuff. Imagine how much they charge for front lift on a Lamborghini, and I've got it on this car anyway. Very clever. Yeah, and the price of this car, when it came out, it was £40,000 in 1990, and the 100 came to the UK, and they just sold out. And it was a time of speculation. The late 80s was a mad time in these sort of cars, a collector car, and they were fetching. Used to see them advertised at £80,000 or thereabouts, a double list. Whether they actually sold for that, I don't know. But then they sort of came off in value, and they've sort of been in the doldrums for a while now. They were sort of 20, 30,000, but they've moved up recently, and you have to look hard to try and find one at 40,000. And if you wanted this one from Hairpin Company, well, you'll be paying in the 60s, 65,000 or thereabouts. But it is 5,000 kilometre from new and utterly perfect, and I can understand why. You know, it is a different car. Anyway, enough. I'm going to sign off here, and then we'll just have a dash up the hill and try it on some faster bits of road. So yeah, I'm in 5th gear, very relaxed. Bit more challenging road down here, but yeah, initial impression, this is a very usable car. Brakes are a bit soft actually, isn't there? But round there, that felt good round there. Rev it out. Where are we on the speedo? Yeah, it is over into the legal limit in 3rd, but yeah, it just feels tight. It feels up for it for this sort of road. Those brakes, they don't have the initial bite that you imagine. I didn't realise it actually has inboard brakes at the back. Yeah, and it's instant on the drivetrain. It's transaxle with the gearbox in the back. It's quite harsh on the you sort of kangaroo if you're manoeuvring this at lower speed, but it just feels like a car you want to get hold of a scruff of the neck and chuck it down a B road, which I sort of like. Funny, we used to think this had really firm suspension back in the day, but now it feels pretty compliant actually. I suppose it's got those taller tyres as well. I also mentioned in the garage, I said, oh, they were all red. That's a slight lie. There was one black one because Andrea Zagato said, I fancy one of these, but I want one in black. So they did one black one for him, but everything else was red. There was the RZ that followed, the convertible version. They only did 200 and some of those, 260 I think it was, and they were available in several colours. I think it was yellow, black, red as well. I think there was one more colour, I can't remember. But yeah, I'm liking this. I'm really quite liking this. Just feels tight, lovely steering, just pointy. It's not on crazy rubber. It's not silly quick, but it feels sorted. Ooh. Right, I'm in the lower position now. It's got a little spoiler underneath the main spoiler, and that just ground out. So I'm going to want to try and round this quick a bit here. Oh, it's a shame to car. Just keep it planted. Yeah, that is just rubbing, isn't it, on the green. This is a challenging bit of road. And it's just starting to nudge its nose with the green button. Maybe I ought to be in red. Oh. Yeah, good sound as well. I think I'd have to put a different exhaust on it, but yeah, it's still. I actually weighed this car, and it came out at 1265 kilos as it is. It had about just under half a tank of fuel, but it's pretty light, and I suppose that's why it feels quite lively, even though it's only 210 horsepower. It just feels a very balanced package, but yeah, very enjoyable. Let's see what he thinks to over these. Sound nice to get in a V6 Alfa again. So, summarising this car, what don't I like? Well, I've lived in it a couple of days and I still want to put the seat down. I'm sort of looking, I can see the bonnet, I can see the top of the dash. It's just an awkward relationship. I can't understand why I'm not sitting lower. It sort of gives it a little bit of a go-kart feel, but I'm sure it would feel more connected if I actually sat lower down. Then I sort of had the plastic body slightly worries me. It annoys me that it's so bloody wonderful, this car, but the shut lines and that sort of heavy bonnet, it's sort of annoying, and the doors don't open quite far enough. There doesn't seem a good enough reason why you can't do it, and I'm sure they're experimenting with that sort of glass fibre composite body panels. I don't think it quite works. But I have to mention the sort of lack of performance. 7.3 to 6 isn't spectacular, but it's probably 20 something to 100 miles an hour. I dug out a fast lane test as well. Oh, you can heel and toe in it very nicely. Oh, it feels good lying there. What was that? Yeah, the brakes just haven't got that initial bite that you imagine. They're not solid, but yeah. What was I saying? Performance. Yeah, 141 miles an hour they got out of it. Alfa used to claim 152. Well, it's not 152 mile an hour car, but it's a very enjoyable. We go to the likes. Well, there's plenty of them. I think the main thing is just the distinctive looks. It's a love-hate, but it's a statement distinctive car, and I love it for that. Absolutely love the looks of it. It's a you know, controversial looks, but if you didn't have cars like this, all the cars would look the same. And this one is very definitely an SZ, an Alfa SZ, and a statement. So I love that. It would be just special to own, wouldn't it? You know, that limited run, that Zagato badge on the side. I just think, yeah, it's great it exists. And I also like the way it goes down a road. I feel I get hold of his scruff of the neck. I'm told they're a bit edgy in the wet. I haven't had a chance to try that, but I want to learn this car. I really enjoy it. I, you know, would grab the keys on many occasions to give it, you know, to do just this. And then it's just a great Alfa. God, the world needs some great Alfas, and this is one of them. I think it stood the test of time, and it's never to be repeated again, so I love it for that. And I have to say, when I came into Hairpin, I was mighty tempted. Do I swap the Esprit out for this, you know, a similar sort of car? You have to keep watching to see if that actually happens, but I'm extremely grateful to the Hairpin company for lending it to me, and it's just about to go up on their website, so I've got to decide in the next few days. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and a little look at this very special Alfa SZ. If you have, well, keep watching, keep subscribing, because there'll be more videos coming along very soon.